So this is the Hasbro Marvel Legends The Amazing Spider-Man Renew Your Vows Spider-Man and Marvel Spinnerette 2-pack. This is actually my first figure that I've received that comes in this windowless packaging from their newer versions of this windowless packaging, not counting those Hasbro Pulse Army Building exclusives that were windowless. Many years ago. It feels very light. That's one thing I noticed for two figures inside. It feels incredibly light, and it feels like the cardboard they're using is even thinner than the cardboard they've used before. They're on the side. You get an image of the figures as well. There's the other side, an image of the characters in art form, and on the back side, we also do get the figures posed up and displayed there with their accessories that are included. Now, one thing I do notice is that there is no read-up on the back like we normally get, so they kind of did away with the read-ups. Alright, so enough of the packaging. Let's get down to what we really came here to see, and that is the brand new super articulated Spider-Man that is to replace the retro vintage Spidey, the almighty retro vintage Spidey. And then we have the brand new Spinnerette figure there, which is actually really nice. A lot of people are overlooking this figure because the one that's getting all the attention is the new Spidey, but this Spinnerette figure is nice. It's super articulated as well. Not as articulated as Spidey, but she has double joints and pinless all over as well. So the retro vintage Spider-Man that we all know and love came out a couple years ago, of course, in that retro carded line, and he looks very similar to this Spider-Man here. Now, what are the differences? Of course, the differences are that this guy is pinless all throughout, so that's beautiful. A lot of people were requesting that on that Spidey, and also this guy has toe hinges and it looks beautiful. This is the first time we're getting toe hinges with a Hasbro Marvel Legend in a very long time. I want to say the first time, but I'm not quite sure. I don't want to say that and be wrong. So I'm going to say for a very long time, we've never gotten toe hinges ever in recent history or in recent time for the Hasbro Marvel Legends line. So very interesting that that was implemented it with this release. For some reason, they don't really plan on using that more often. It seems like, I don't know. I'm really getting the vibe that they're not gonna really use that a lot. And they might have shot themselves in the foot on that one because now that they introduced it, people are gonna want it now, and they're gonna be like, "Why doesn't this Spidey have it? Why doesn't that Spidey have it?" That's all we're gonna hear for the next couple of years, and they probably know that. But let's just enjoy this Spidey here. For those of you that missed out on the retro vintage Spidey, you guys know how high that figure is going on the secondary market. It's ridiculous. And now here is your chance to get that Spidey, but a better version of that Spidey for retail price. So let's check them out. But first, ladies first. So let's go ahead and check out Spinnerette because she's also really awesome. So here's a good look at her face sculpt, and it looks fantastic in my eyes. I love it. No gripes here. We have a nice hair sculpt as well. This is a new hair sculpt. I don't believe I've seen this one before. Of course, the whole head is a brand new sculpt. We got the little half mask there, so you got the Spidey eyes, but then you can see the bottom of her face exposed. Nice little smile, painted on very clean. So happy to see that. All the line work on her outfit is painted on pretty clean for the most part. Really don't see any issues. Maybe the smallest little nick right there, but nothing crazy. I do notice with the bright lights I have on that the red on the upper torso does not 100% match with the lower torso, but it's not a big deal. I notice a lot of things like that when I have all the bright lights on it when I review it. Hopefully in natural lighting it's probably gonna look okay. You're gonna be fine. It's not too drastic, but it is something to point out that it doesn't 100% match. Here's the back side. I'm a little confused about these peg holes here. This is obviously a reused mold from somebody that utilized these peg holes for whatever reason. I can't recall where it comes from and why it's there. I'm sure somebody will let me know in the comment section, so please do. But that is quite the eyesore. So that's definitely my biggest gripe of the figure. I mean, if I had to pick one thing that I disliked about it, it's definitely the two giant peg holes on the back. It's kind of nuts. I wish they would just make some pegs to kind of push into them. If you're going to reuse the torso, at least sculpt out a little peg that we can put in there just to kind of cover it up or just to fill it in. At the very least, it's on the back, of course, but still, I mean, that's pretty big. Anyways, let's continue on here. We can see the beautiful double jointed elbows. I love it. I love it. I love it. There was a time in Marvel Legends Collecting that you could tell me that we were gonna have double jointed elbows, bicep swivels, and double jointed knees all pinless on a female body, and I would say you're a liar. But here we are. Look at this. Look how far we've come. Alright, so first up we have the alternate head sculpt that she comes with. This is the, of course, Mary Jane Watson is Spinnerette. And this is the very first time we get Spinnerette in the Life of Marvel Legends that I'm aware of. I don't believe we've ever gotten Spinnerette before, so it's cool. This looks similar to the Mary Jane Watson head sculpt that came with the Gwen Stacy retro vintage carded figure, but I will compare it to check it out and see if there's any differences. This is just off the top of my head. It looks similar, but I don't know. I could be wrong. But we'll check that out in the comparison section, so stay tuned. So she comes with a separate head sculpt, and of course we do get some alternate hands. So right now on the figure we have a right fist and a thwipping hand, web slinging hand. This is right out of the box. So alternatively, we're going to have a right side thwipping, web slinging hand, and then we have a left side fist, of course, and then lastly we get the pair of wall crawling hands here. So that's awesome. Always nice to get some wall crawling hands with anything Spider-Man. So there you go. That's everything that Spinnerette comes with. Alright, so here we have Spider-Man, and he's looking quite crispy here. Overall, I'm very, very happy with this. Now, obviously, I do own the retro vintage version, and while it isn't 100% necessary to go out and get another Spider-Man, seeing that retro vintage one, it's still pretty darn good. Even though it's, it does have the pins, yes, but it's still a pretty darn good figure. But with that being said, we always want to have the definitive version, the new and improved, and this is definitely gonna be it right here, because why would you settle for the pins if you can do without it? And then you can also have the toe hinges on the foot. So of course this one slightly beats it out because of that. I mean, that's really the main upgrade here, or the pinless joints and the toe hinge on this figure. Other than that, everything else is the same. Of course, he does come with an unmasked head, so that's another upgrade as well. So if anything, yes, this is gonna be the better version, but ever so slightly. It doesn't make the retro vintage version any less good at all. So it's still a solid figure. But he comes with an unmasked head, as I mentioned, and here it is. This seems to be the same head sculpt that we've gotten before, although I'm not sure. We've only gotten Spidey head sculpts few and far between. And then, of course, out of the box, we get a fist on the left side and a thwipping hand on the right side there. So, of course, just like the Spinnerette, we have the opposite hand, the same pose. So we got the web slinging hand there, and then the right fist. And then lastly, we get the same wall crawling hands here. So they both have the same set of hands, and they both have unmasked head sculpts. And speaking of unmasked head sculpts, there they are on the actual figures, in case you guys wanted to see that. Articulation will get hindered at the neck if she has the unmasked head sculpt, of course, because of her hair on the back. Pretty, pretty obvious that's gonna happen. But she could still kind of move it a little bit. Of course, that torso helps her out a little bit. But she can look down. Of course, we get some little hair sculpts on the side there that also prevent any movement. And then left and right she can do. So if we pop that head off and give her her masked head again, then of course lots of range because she's got a little bun on the back there. So now she can move all the way up and she can look all the way down, no problem. Head tilting a little bit, yeah, well, actually quite a bit. And then left and right. It's on a ball jointed hinge. And then we got the arms going all the way around. They go in and out pretty far. There you go. And then beautiful bicep swivels on a female. Awesome. Love it. And then double jointed pinless elbows. Little stiff, but there you go. So you can get her forearm to pretty much touch her bicep. And then we have a swivel at the wrist with a hinge. Diaphragm joint in the torso that moves all the way around town, goes all the way back. Forward, not so much as going back, and then tilting side to side, and of course the swivel. No way swivel. The swivel will be at that torso. Legs are going to kick forward pretty far, and then they go back down. They kick back a little bit, but not too far. In and out about that far, and then we have a thigh swivel. There you go. Got stuck a little bit. And then a double knee joint that's pinless. Calves hit the thighs there, so pretty good range. Hinge at the ankle, forward and back, and then we get the rocker. And that's it. There is no swivel, although it seems like there would be. This is just a little cuff here. That's a separate piece. But that would have been a perfect spot to hide a swivel. Alright, so honestly, I really shouldn't have to go through Spidey because he's pretty much 99% the same as Retro Vintage, aside from the hinges on the toes, but we're going to go through it anyways because this is such a lovely, lovely figure. So we get the same little gappage on the back of the neck here, which allows him to look up higher. That was the same deal on that Retro Vintage version as well. This is what the unmasked head. I assume they're both going to have the same amount of range, unmasked and masked. We're going to do both anyways. Here you can see that this one utilizes the barbell peg, while Spinnerette utilizes the ball jointed hinge. So, yep, looking up, it's just fine. Looking down, left and right, head tilting is a lot more possible on a barbell peg. So that's one of the things I like about it, because you can really get those head tilts executed there, left and right. Arms going to go all the way around, forward and back. They go in and out about that far. And then we have those gorgeous butterfly joints here. The paint line work is, continues underneath it as well, so it doesn't get broken up. Check that out on the back side. So awesome job there. Bicep swivel, double jointed elbows, swivel at the wrist with a hinge. We have that dual torso articulation, got the diaphragm joint and the lower ab crunch. Gorgeous. So left and right, swivel goes all the way around town, back, forward, tilting, all you can think of pretty much. And then we get the lower ab crunch there. This was also the same deal on the retro vintage one. So this isn't new. It's still awesome to point out though, because it's just a nice combination there if you ask me. No way swivel. Your swivel will be at the torso. Legs will kick forward. They kind of drop down, do they? Yeah, a little bit. They drop down a little bit for sure. You can see that right here. Just a tad bit. So they kick forward all the way up. They go back down. Kicking back, not really. And then we get sort of a split, not really, but that's as far as he goes. And then we have a thigh swivel, double jointed knees. This one does have a boot cut shin swivel right there, and then the ankle hinge at the, of course, the ankle. Rocker side to side, and no swivel, only the swivel at the shin, and then of course that toe hinge goes forward as well, but that looks kind of weird. But yeah, there you go. So here is Spinnerette next to the retro carded vintage line Gwen Stacy, and this is the figure that came with the alternate Mary Jane Watson head sculpt. So let's take a look at that. Alright, and here we have it. So that is the Mary Jane Watson head that came with the Gwen Stacy figure, and it is exactly the same head sculpt, but of course, as you can see, it is painted very differently. Actually, I like the darker red, and it's got some black wash in the hair paint for the retro vintage version, so it's a lot of detail in the hair, while this one isn't painted at all. It's a more brighter red, as you can see. So although they are the same, they are painted different enough to the point where they look very different from each other. It looks like a new sculpt, but it's not. And also the Gwen Stacy body, as you can see, is shorter than Spinnerette, so she does stand very short next to our Mary Jane here in Spinnerette form. And then here's a quick head swap between the two. And actually the Spinnerette unmasked head fits better on the Gwen Stacy body for some reason. It just snaps in perfectly, while the head that comes with it, which is over here, takes some force. I don't know why it's so hard to peg in that head sculpt. But here it is, swapped out. Let me know what you guys think. Looks pretty good to me. And now we have Spider-Man. So of course this is the retro vintage version on the left side here, next to the new Renew Your Vows 2-pack version on the right side. And you can see the drastic difference in the color of red and blue. I'm a big fan of this color, red and blue, I must say, and that's kind of a reason why I really still like the retro vintage one. Now, I'm not saying it's better, but I still like it. Also, as you can see, the head sculpts are different, the eyes are different between the two. And of course, the Spider-Man logo is also different on the torso. Taking a look at them from the side here, you can really see the pins here coming into play, at least on the left side, and then the pinless joints right there on the right side. And then as for the back, here is a side by side there, and you can see the differences between the two spiders on the back of Spider-Man. It is much bigger on the newer version, which is interesting because that forces them to paint the butterfly joints, while it was small enough here to not paint the butterfly joints and just have it on the back torso piece only. So they went and made themselves work a little bit harder there by having to paint those butterfly joints. But of course, if I turn this guy just a little bit here, this is where those pins really became an eyesore. Actually, if I turn it this way, you can see it a lot better, because they were red and you can see them on the blue, and it's gigantic, super big. At least on this side they kind of blend in a little bit, and also the knees are no issue, they're all blue, so no problem there. But the elbows definitely had a big issue, and also they put the serial number on the thigh here, while on the new one it's going to be on the bottom of the feet, which is where it should be always. But it's silly that they used to always do it on the thighs in bright white lettering. But anyways, yeah, there's your side by side between the two. Now, head swapping these guys won't really work out too well because of the color red is just so drastically different. So really no point in swapping the heads there. They're just not going to look good. And there's a quick look at him next to the retro vintage pizza Spidey. Now, this is the one that came in that original white and blue carded line. I'll put a picture up right now. And then of course we have the original pizza Spidey, the one that kind of started it all, I guess. But this is the OG right here for sure. He did not come with that effect on the back of his head, so kind of disregard that. And I wanted to throw in the new retro vintage Rhino Marvel Legend figure that just recently released next to this Spidey, and they look great together. There's a quick look at them side by side. You can see how he towers over Spidey, but yeah, they're definitely looking pretty darn good next to each other for sure. Let's check that out. So I couldn't end the video without dynamically posing these two and utilizing that toe hinge. So here's just a quick pose to finish off the review. Overall, this is a beautiful 2-pack, and I recommend you guys do not pass up on this. Both are absolutely great figures and some of the best that we've gotten this year so far from Marvel Legends. Please do let me know your thoughts down in the comments section below, and hit the like button while you're there. Also consider subscribing if you haven't done so already. As always guys, take care, take it easy, and I'll catch you on the next one. Bye. Guys, toe hinges. Toe hinges.